All right, are we recording?
Oh, no.
Oh.
Recording in progress.
All right, we'll call the Parks and Rec Committee to order. Go ahead and do roll call.
Steve,
Here.
Emma, Seth,
Here.
Andrew,
Here.
Cindy, here.
All right. Oh, we're going to approve the first period of public comment. Is there anybody needs to speak for public? Anybody online, Nate? Later.
Does not look like anybody's raising their hand to speak who is online, Steve, so I think you're good.
Okay, so then we'll move to item 3, approval of committee minutes for January 7th, 2025.
This is AJ. I move approval of January 7th minutes.
So we have one motion.
I wasn't here, so.
All right.
This is Seth. I'll second.
Thank you, Seth. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Number 4, update on Eckert Playground project and possible action regarding Leather and Associates agreement. And give us a second here. I think Kale's got a PowerPoint. He wants to. Sorry for the folks at home.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's on my screen. You just have to share it. You are sharing. You just, yeah. You got ahead of it too quickly, and so therefore I hadn't switched over yet from my screen.
Yeah.
Might be cost prohibitive. You gotta drag it over, Kim. It's right there in the corner. You just gotta. You gotta turn. There you go.
I haven't done this in a while, it seems like. Okay, just want to bring you guys up to speed where we are at on Eckhart Playground with Leathers. So we're going to give you a kind of, again, we have a leadership, some of the leadership members are here today. But in looking at the old stuff, I thought it was pretty interesting I found an old activity guide of 96 when they first were building this. So in 96, they had a bunch of different groups, as you can see, volunteer fundraising tools, like 13 different groups. And we currently just have the fundraising design and the resource to start off the leadership team. So if we continue to go down this way, we have some concerns with that, but we would have a lot more people we would have to get on board. So group structure, again, focus groups, the leadership team, us 3 in this room, and then the Park and Rec Committee, and then on to City Council. So that's why we are here today. We're bringing this to your attention. A little backstory of the project timeline. When we first started on the right of the screen, that's what we were hoping to work out with Leathers. On the design work, as you can see, we were hoping to complete the design work by January 1st. It is currently February 25th today, and we're still not done with the design work. So that's another concern that we have. As you can see on the left, with everything that I've kept track of, it took 4 weeks for the first design from Leathers. And then once we gave them our final information, it took another 4 weeks to get the final 2D drawing. So currently, right now with leathers, we're only at the final 2D drawing, which you'll see on the screen coming up. We still have the final drawing. That's when it's a 3D rendering. And they say it could take 2 to 3 weeks based on what we've been dealing with. I feel comfortable at 4 to 5 weeks to get that back. So this is the final 2D drawing that they submitted on February 11th. As you can tell, my concern, it's hard to make judgments from this and what we want. You know, it has everything that me and Kim and the leadership team wanted. It took a long time to get there, back and forth between the two. And I'll go over that in the later slides. But we're finally to this point, but we have a lot of concerns continuing going forth with leathers. Again, just some things that we went over, the design. So on the left of the screen, it's the tot area. It's the 2 to 5 year old. And that's got 2 slides, 4 swings, 9 play structures that I counted. Again, taking it from a 2D schematic drawing is kind of hard. I did my best on the scale that they gave me of what's included. On the bigger play structure, the 5 to 12 structure, I counted 5 slides, 10 swings, 17 play structures, which again was kind of funny when I found that drawing in the 96 activity guide. There's a lot of similarities of the 2 playgrounds. It hasn't really changed that much, which I thought was kind of surprising. But again, we tried to add some more stuff to the play structure. It's hard to read on there, but the red lettering, if you can see my pointer, I asked for the heights, and it took a while to get these, but this is the highest point of the playground, which is 8 feet. All the other ones are 5 feet or 6 feet. Again, that was kind of one of my concerns as well. Now it,
8 feet from,
8 feet from the ground.
so the base of that structure is 8 feet off the ground,
Yes.
not the top of the structure.
Yes. Where they can play, sorry. So the landing, I should say, I believe, and I guess I should clear that up, but from my thought would be when kids are up on the play structure, it's 8 feet. But that's a good question. I don't know if the top is 8 feet or if my guess is the landing area where they play is 8 feet. So again, that's one of my concerns, because you look at playgrounds nowadays, they're getting up to 12, 14 feet in the air. So the play and the challenge is a lot more for new playgrounds. So any questions? I'll stop here for a second. Any questions on the design?
I'm just curious, how tall is that shuttle thing they have there now? Any idea?
I do
Frame of reference? Oh, okay.
I would say
And
probably 8 feet.
yeah, the
too.
floor of it's probably at 8
That's
feet.
what I was
yeah.
thinking, if maybe it's about the same.
Okay, so
Then Seth and AJ, are you guys able to see this, or are you en
Yeah,
route? Okay.
I'm able to take a peek at what we've got laid out there.
Do you have
Yeah,
any-
just some of the labeling of certain areas is just a little hard for me to see, but other than that, I can see about 95% of it probably, yeah. 95.
do you have any questions at
Oops.
all?
I do not know.
Yeah, not at this time.
Okay, thank you.
So another concern that we've had with leathers is just their transparency on the cost. We've been asking them for, whenever we started, could we get prices for equipment? Can we get prices for materials? And most of the time, they just lump it in one set of materials. So like, again, materials, they just lump it all together. So we really don't know what we're getting. We got a little more breakdown this last time on equipment costs / materials, but it's been hard to kind of get the information that we want to see as the leadership group. So this is kind of their last breakdown. Again, we got some breakdown on equipment. Equipment was, if I remember correctly, like 300,000, I thought, roughly. So all the other materials about 2,000, let's just roughly say. They do a good job of the professional fees and breaking down, which, yeah. So this is the breakdown. Again, the current total project would be at 625,000 with contingencies. To date, right now, the only thing that we've paid for is the preliminary playground design. So the $5,880. And talking with Nate again, I need to follow up with Leathers depending on what we do. But I'm sure there's going to be some added cost. But right now we've only paid the almost $6,000.
Yeah, that grand total, that doesn't include the poured in place surface, right? Or the poured in place,
On
Like,
this one, it does.
that is included? Okay.
I think the poured in place, again, he finally gave me a breakdown on that. I think it came in at roughly 62,000
Just for the top
for the
area.
tot area. So we didn't say that. What we were looking at too is this tot area. We were hoping to put poured in place surfacing. So that's kind of that rubberized surface. And then the other side would be wood chips. So again, my design concerns were accessibility. This was expressed many times in the public survey. The ease for all abilities, as you can see on the drawing, it's hard to see how easy it is going to be for everybody that wants to play at the playground. The linear heights of it, again, is that I've been to a lot of playgrounds. Is the height high enough for fun and challenging for the kids? And the maintenance, again, we've seen the playground that we have right now. It's a bear with maintenance when things break, and then we have to try to get in there and replace it. And the public wants, from my opinion, wants an maintenance. And from my department as a two-man, it's hard to do that maintenance on wood type structure playgrounds because they're all intertwined. And if a bridge breaks, how do we fix it? How do we get into it and, replace the cables and stuff like that? So what it will look like over time, those are my concerns. The leadership team concerns, again, this is kind of why we're bringing this to you. Again, just the previous and current projected timelines. We still haven't got the final 3D drawing. It's taken almost 2 months just on the 2D drawing. Again, there's been things that have happened on their side and our side that have taken a little longer, but 8 weeks to do a 2D somatic drawing seems pretty crazy in my book, especially when I've reached out to other companies and they get it to me in a week or two, a whole playground. So that's a big concern. Again, I talked about the cost, the breakdown. They haven't been the best to work with in regards to giving us the prices and what we want to see. The community build, to be completely honest with you, this is overwhelming for me. And again, the leadership, I think, expresses the same concerns. I don't know if we can do this in our community. Again, we're a small community. I would hope we could, but it's not like we were 20 years ago when we had big Lions clubs and Rotary clubs and other clubs. I could be wrong, but that's my concern. Looking at their schedule, it's 7 days, 3 shifts per day from AM to PM, and we need 200 workers per shift. And that's 100 to 150 skilled workers per shift and 100 non-skilled workers. So Jacob Conis's and Todd, we're on kind of that committee. We felt like we could get unskilled workers. It's the skilled workers that we're concerned about. How do we find 150 people that know how to run a saw and carpenters how to build? So that's, I would say that's my biggest concern, is can we get enough? Not to mention the tool supply. If I didn't bring it up or I didn't put it on there, but they're asking for so much equipment. Like, let's just say 40 to 50 skilled saws we have to find. So there's a lot of concerns that as this project has been going on, myself and the leadership committee is got some concerns. They give us a community community guide. That's probably 200 pages. That's all on us, and it's overwhelming. There hasn't been a lot of support from Leathers, I feel. That's my opinion. Just me and Kim have kind of been working with them, and they answer our questions, but they don't give us a lot of information back. They answer what they can answer, and it's not very good communication back and forth. And some of it might be on me, just because I'm so busy with other things that I can't give all my time to this project, which, so that's, and again, the distance of the builder. They're in Florida, we're in Wisconsin. That's partly the reason, probably. And again, playground accessibility and the ease of maintenance. So I know we're short on time, so I want to leave some time for our leadership team to express their concerns. Lastly, these are the companies that I would like to reach out to and kind of get information from them and bring back to you some designs that they have. So I guess my recommendation to the park board would be to stop agreement with Leathers and explore options with some other playground companies. But that, if you have anything to say, or you guys.
I guess it'd be nice to compare, right? So see what we can get, especially for that chunk of money from maybe a different group. It would, because right now that's the thing with the price breakdown. It's hard to, it's like, are we getting our money's worth? It's hard to tell, but I think this would allow us to compare.
Weren't there several companies you considered before?
There was the difference is so I think so this is predates, I think, AJ and Seth. So we were given 3 options and we were trying to choose a playground that was had the same kind of feel as the current playground. But now going
The
down the,
leap,
well,
right?
just like, yeah, that and imaginative play and all, more nature inspired, I guess. But now having gone down the road with Leathers, it's like it is kind of it's difficult. So there are other companies that will design and build where we don't have to supply a labor force, which might be a little, I think maybe what we're looking for. Kim?
I want to add one thing about the cost. The cost of what they're giving us, the amount, doesn't cover the things like we have to have tents, we have to have a trailer for them as an office and printing capacity in there so they can print things off. We have to have storage units of some type, they could be trailers, whatever, for the materials. There's still the possibility of having to use even beyond They have other things in there that they don't always indicate for sure beyond what just the city would have for a larger piece of equipment. Um, and so, and just even the small things. And I would say in a community our size, we aren't going to be able to get even all those small things donated because we have a smaller group of merchants and so forth. But, you know, you need 400 masks. There's just disposable materials that you need for the cost. So that base cost they're telling us about doesn't include any of those additional costs. It doesn't include the costs of time for having city workers there. I can't fathom. I volunteered at the last build. I cannot fathom that many people in that area. The other thing is nothing can be started before they're on site. So there can't be, other than the site can be prepared. None of the materials nothing can be done with them. And I'm overwhelmed at the thought. I mean, the last time we used the shelter for a lot of the things, but you didn't have all these other things. We had hand drawings that we worked off of. It wasn't that they were going to keep printing or changing, or I'm very concerned about that cost because and Angie can talk to that, but she went to school board convention, saw Burke there, you know, within a week and a half, he sent a drawing and he knew the size of the space. He didn't know all our other things, but just, it was a 3D drawing. Because as we've talked to them, and Kale and I have both been very frustrated, they still do all their drawing by hand, which seems, you know, my era, yeah. This era, drawing by hand seems a little, whereas the other playground places, they don't do that all by hand. They have programs or people that do that. So I am concerned about that. I'm concerned about the tools, the number of volunteers, and the cost, and the frustrations we've had trying to, you know, it's continual. I send another email, you know, yep, you'll have it by then. I said, okay, so I'm going to set up a committee meeting. And then we don't have it by the time they say, well, I should be able to get it to you by Monday. I said, okay, our committee meeting is Wednesday. I can still send that out. Well, then, well, Tuesday it's going to be. I mean, every time it's been that frustration. And I've done enough other projects and other things. They seem to make it harder. And I want us to look at other places and not continue with this. I think we can get more for our buck and still have a quality playground. And, you know, if it's not exactly this, and we have some other ideas, that big tree that's in the middle, you know, it's got to come down. So if it came down at 10 feet or whatever, however somebody decides all that, but we've actually got some names of some people. Maybe we could have a carved dragon there in the middle of the park. I mean, we've thought of other things that we could do too, but, you know, cost-wise, I'm just not, and the ease of working with these people, it's been very difficult. Angie has got.
All right, we have 5 minutes left, so.
All right.
Okay. 20 minutes.
So these two are much kinder than I am. This company is impossible to work with. We know what we want. We have asked them for certain types of equipment. Some of them are still not on this drawing. We've asked over and over and over again for them to include certain things that they just, oh, well, we forgot. Well, how many times are you going to forget? What are they going to forget when they deliver this equipment to us? And so they also change what is required every single time they send us some type of a drawing or some type of a piece of information. So they change how many volunteers we need. They change the equipment that we need. They change what they're requiring for us to have. They either really don't want this project in Viroqua, or they're very, very unorganized and they have too many things going on. So I don't know what that answer is, but I highly recommend that you do not work with this company. They are impossible. You will be frustrated. And then the next component is we want some accessibility for people who are handicapped, people who are grandparents, people who want, maybe they're in a walker, maybe they're in a wheelchair. They give you no elevations. You see the scale of this drawing. It's very difficult to read. They don't give you any specifics whatsoever. And we couldn't even make a decision right now. Well, let's eliminate this slide because it costs, too much money. They will not give us any type of breakdown on any of the specific items that are in this drawing. I have never worked with a company that cannot break down what they are giving you a design for so that you can make an educated decision. Like Kim said, I went to the school board convention. I went to every park that was there and just asked a lot of questions. What do you have? What do you offer? Where are you located? Every single one of them was amazingly friendly. I just asked one of the companies to just give a rough sketch of what a design might look like, knowing that that isn't what it's going to ultimately look like, without even giving them any details about what we really wanted. Within it was maybe 10 days, maybe not. I actually think it was 7. They gave us a beautiful design that, once again, we're not suggesting that one because it isn't exactly what we wanted either, but they did that without knowing almost anything. So I hope that this committee and city council will choose to not go with leathers. It would be a huge mistake. How do I turn this?
You're okay. Angie. Thanks, Angie. So just, I had the ability to sit in on the meeting, the last steering committee meeting, and what I heard, just sort of in summary, is that even without the problems with leathers as a designer, this would be an extremely challenging project, right? I think Kim laid it out very nicely about just what kind of Herculean task this would be for our community to pull this off at this stage in the game. And I think I've gone back and forth. Kayla and I have gone back and forth on, is this possible? Is it not possible? Steve, same thing. Like, we've kind of gone back and forth. Oh, I think we can do it. Maybe we can. Then we brought Kim in, and Kim's done a tremendous job sort of leading the group. And like, oh, we have a coordinator now. I think we can really pull this off. And part of the issue is that the goalposts on how many tools and how many volunteers and how long it will take is always fluctuating. Like, you ask them one day, it was like, well, how much will it take if we have this and this? And then they give you one number one month, and it seems like the next month we need twice as many volunteers, and the days got longer. And it's just, the communication is just so poor. It's impossible to feel confident about what our targets even are. And then, Kim talked about the tools and all the other resources, and then add on top of it, we just don't have a very good partner in guiding us. And it's just, I said to them, it's like, I can't disagree with anything you're saying. And just to go back to the original reason of why we went with leathers is because we like that style of playground. I don't think we were ever overly smitten with them as an organization, or their credentials, their experience, or anything like that. It was all about the types of playgrounds that they created. And so that's the tough point where you're at today is, and I said this to the group, and I think we all agreed, is if we move away from leathers, I don't think we can replicate the style of playground that we currently have out there. And I think that was an important part of what the community wanted to see, was us to replace the playground in kind with something very similar. I think the council wanted to see that as well, but I'm at the point here where I would agree with these folks. I just don't think it's possible. The one last thing I'll say is, in terms of sunk costs, Kayla and I looked at it. We've paid a certain amount so far, but most of the time when you're dealing with these sort of vendors, if you cut bait, you have to pay for the services they've rendered, even if they haven't billed them yet. And so I would imagine that we may be on top of that $16,000 or $6,000 we've actually paid. We're probably another up to $15,000 into it in that second phase of the it's listed a little bit differently here than it is in the actual sign agreement. The sign agreement says like the design phase after preliminary concept plan is another $30,000 roughly, and I would imagine we're probably halfway through that roughly, and so there would be about $20,000 to $21,000, my just estimation of sunk costs that we would essentially, we'd lose out on. I think there's some value to some of the designs and some of the design work that's been done that maybe we can carry over to the next person, but do know there's sort of a little bit of a loss there. But we haven't reached out to Leathers directly to say, hey, if we stopped working with you tomorrow, how much would we owe you? We figured, well, let's have that conversation. And frankly, I said to Kale's, like, even if we had to pay $36,000 and still wanted to stop working with you, would you do it? And him and I both said, yeah, like we would still be gone, because we just think spending more time and money and effort with these folks just didn't feel it makes sense. We didn't pose that question to the leadership committee, but that's at least how Kale and I felt when we talked this morning. So just my piece on it, and just to add a couple more points of consideration.
I appreciate. No, sorry.
Liability. Whoops. I forgot to add the liability issue. If you're going to have a community build project, there has to be some liability to the city that has to be pretty darn uncomfortable, especially working with this company and how unorganized they are, and having the community build it, and insure people also while they are building. And I don't know what that cost is. I forgot that.
Thanks, Angie. Seth, you had a
Well, yeah, I would just wanted to add that I appreciate all the effort that the leadership committee and Kale have put towards this, and see that vision that was desired, but in those numbers that they've projected, it sounds unfathomable that you would need that many volunteers on hand to put something like this together. And just coming from a construction side of things, the number one concern you want with a company is their ability to keep deadlines and be able to provide what's requested on time. And yeah, I am all on board with cutting ties with them, and just have to move forward with what the next step is.
Cindy.
Yes, I agree. As painful as it will be to lose that money for people who are doing the fundraising, that pains me. But no, it sounds like the right choice. Pretty clear.
Yeah, I'm confident that the leadership team's going to bring forward a plan that the community will enjoy, and especially the kids. I feel like I know there's attachment to that playground, but it's just becoming too hard to go forward. So
You need a motion, I assume?
yeah.
The council, right?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, we would ask to have a motion to council.
I would make a motion that we cut ties with Leather and move on and search for some alternates, and pass this on to council.
I'll second that motion.
If
Right.
we have to pass it on to council, can we just decide here? No, we have to pass it.
So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? AJ,
on that one.
AJ, did you vote?
Sorry, mine would be for moving it on to council.
Thank you, AJ. All right. So that passes. My agenda is not popping up again. What what's next on the agenda there? All right, Park and Rec update. Kale.
So just a few things in regard to parks update. With the weather being warm, we have closed the ice rink. It is a giant puddle right now. The cross-country ski trails, we got open for about a week, and then we had closed those as well. So we're kind of in that stage where we're looking excited to get outside. We just know we probably have another round of snow and or two to, contend with. But Dustin is eager to, start, doing stuff outside. He's been cooped up inside, cleaning the shop and doing maintenance work for a while now. So that's about it on that. The rec side, we're finishing up winter pickleball. Spring pickleball, it's a short 5-week session. We'll start in the middle of May, or not May, April, March actually, and run until April. And then in regards to the summer activity guide, we have almost finalized that. Yeah, we are doing something new this year where you'll see our information, again, the library's information, but then we've also included some of summer school information, Bigley Pool, and over 50. So we're trying to get that summer activity guide where it's all inclusive with groups that we've worked with to get all that information out so people can kind of know what's going on between our groups. So it's been a good process working with those groups and getting that information on. So that should be out, we're hoping next week already to start registration on that. So that's kind of what's taking my time. Sponsorships are coming in, just everything that equipment needs for the summer programs, just it's all hitting at once right now. So it's going to get busy.
Thank you, Cal. Does anybody have any questions at all?
I just wanted to comment. Thank you for working with the library and now with the over 50 club and everything. That's asset for the community. That's very good. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Cal. And it's second period for public comment. Is there anybody online?
Steve, it doesn't look like anybody online's rushing to make public comments, so I
All right.
think you're good.
Thank you, Nate. I guess a motion to adjourn is in order.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
ZJ, I'll second.
All right. All those